Guys, let me prove to you anyway that the Satanic Verses did actually happen in the life of Muhammad. Here are two references from two different books on the screen. These two references from two different books on the very screen that you see here are very authentic references. Reference 1, reference 2. From Ad-Durr al-Manthur by Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, volume 10, pages 525 and so on. And from Majma' al-Zawaid wa Manba' al-Fawaid by Imam al-Hafiz al-Haythami, volume 7, page 115. Highly authentic references that prove to us that the Satanic Verses are Sahih. Let us show you reference number 1. If we go to the book of Al-Jalalain, again, the book of Al-Jalalain, who wrote Tafsir Al-Jalalain. His name is Jalaluddin al-Suyuti. Jalaluddin al-Suyuti. His book title is Ad-Durr al-Manthur, very, very famous book in Islam. Volume 10, page 525 and so on. Look, Surah Al-Hajj, chapter Al-Hajj, chapter 22 of the Quran, right? Ayah 52 to 55. You see, I even put the translation for the page and so on for you. Here is the report about the Satanic Verses. And it says, the Isnad, all the men in the chain, بِإِسْنَادٍ رِجَالَهُ ثِقَاتٍ, meaning the men in the chain are trustworthy. Do you see it? And for the Arabic people among us, if we scroll down, another hadith, it says here, وأخرج ابن جرير وابن المنذر وابن ابن حاتم, that the Sahih, the Isnad is Sahih, بإسناد صحيح. The Isnad, the chain of narration is Sahih, do you see it? And if we go to the footer again, وَرِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالَ الصَّحِيحِ, and we can find this also in Mujma' al-Zawaid, right? Mujma' al-Zawaid. And it's also mentioned in Fath al-Bari by Ibn Hajar. All the men in the chain are Sahih. Do you see it? The word here is Sahih. 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 Do you see it? Sahih. Now if we go, and I provided the translation for the page for you, look what it says here. Ad-Durr al-Manthur by As-Suyuti, volume 10, page 525 to 526. The Isnad is Sahih of this hadith. Okay. Ad-Durr al-Manthur by Imam al-Hafiz Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, who wrote Tafsir al-Jalalain. In his book, Ad-Durr al-Manthur, we can find the following hadith, which has a Sahih Isnad. Ibn Jarir, Ibn al-Mundhir, and Ibn Hatim reported with a Sahih Isnad, Sahih chain of narration from Sa'id ibn Jubair. He said, the Messenger of Allah read in Mecca, Surah An-Najm, chapter 53 of the Quran. When he reached this part, have you seen Allat, Al-Uzza, and the other, the Manat, which are chapter 53, ayahs 19 and 20? Look what it says here. Satan cast on his tongue, Muhammad, oh boy. Satan cast on Muhammad's tongue, تِلْكَ الْغَرَانِيقَ الْعُلَى وَإِنَّ شَفَاعَتَهُنَّ لَتُرْتَجَى. These are the high cranes, the idols of Mecca. Allat, Al-Uzza, wal-Manat, the daughters of Allah. And their intercession is hoped for. So this in red, guys, this highlighted in red are the Satanic Verses right there. Do you see it? The Quraysh said, Muhammad never ever mentioned our idols highly or positively until today. So they are pleased with the Satanic Verses that Muhammad gave to them. Muhammad then did sujood, prostration, which is an act of worship. Muhammad that day, guys, became a mushrik. He committed shirk, and we know shirk is the unforgivable sin in Islam. Oh boy. And they, the Quraysh also, and the Sahaba, they all of them prostrated. All the Sahaba, Muhammad, and the Quraysh, they became mushrikeen that day. Then Jibreel came to spank Muhammad. Look, then Jibreel came to Muhammad after that and said, I, Jibreel, did not bring you this, ya Muhammad, i.e. the Satanic Verses. This is from Satan. Wow! This is from Satan? Oh boy. Then Allah sent down to abrogate Satanic Verses. We did not send any messenger or prophet before you. But Satan cast on his tongue ila akhir al-ayah, to the rest of the ayah, which is chapter 22, ayah 52. So chapter 22, ayah 52 abrogated the Satanic Verses here in red. Do you see it? Any Muhammadan? And as we showed you, this Isnad is Sahih. The Isnad is Sahih. Do you see it? And the men in the chain are the men of As-Sahih. The men are of the men of Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Sahih. Again, Surah An-Najm, including the satanic verses in Mecca that Muhammad got from Satan and delivered to the Quraysh. تِلْكَ الْغَرَانِيقَ الْعُلَى وَإِنَّ شَفَاعَتُهُنَّ لَتُرْتَجَى. These are the exalted cranes, and their intercession is hoped for. Muhammad received the satanic verses from Satan, not knowing the difference between the Quran and the satanic verses when he was in Mecca. But when he did hijrah, he went to Mecca, from Mecca to Medina, When he left Mecca and he went to Medina, after 8 years, the abrogation happened. So Allah waited for 8 years to abrogate the Quran, the satanic verses from the Quran. Yes, because Muhammad received Surah Al-Hajj that contains the abrogation in Medina, not in Mecca. So here is the $1 million question. Why did Allah wait for 8 years? Ya Muslimin. Can you imagine Muhammad walking in Medina for 8 years and still no abrogation? Still the Muslims are reciting the satanic verses in Surah Al-Najm? The answer is yes. Bam! Now guys, let us go to reference number 2. Reference number 2. مجمع الزوائد ومنبع الفوائد by Al-Haythami, volume 7, page 115. Here. مجمع الزوائد ومنبع الفوائد, page 115. by Al-Haythami. We scroll down, we see وَرِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالَ الصَّحِيحِ. The hadith here on top, all the people in the chain, all the men in the chain are of that as-Sahih. وَرِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالَ الصَّحِيحِ. This hadith here is very, very sahih. Again, repeating is the same story. Sa'id bin Jubair in the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, according by the report of Sa'id bin Jubair, reporting that the Rasul of Allah, the Nabi, the Messenger of Allah, the Prophet of Allah, when he was in Mecca, كان بمكة, he was in Mecca, فقرأ سورة النجم. So Muhammad starts to read Surah An-Najm, chapter 53. This chapter, Surah An-Najm, chapter 53. Right? Read with me if you know Arabic, but I'm translating, guys, for you. And we're going to put my personal translation later on the screen. So Muhammad starts to read Surah An-Najm till he reached أَفْرَأَيْتُمَ اللَّاتَ وَالْعُزَّى وَمَنَاةَ الثَّالِثَةَ الْأُخْرَى, chapter 53, ayahs 19 and 20 of the Quran. فَجَرَى عَلَى نِسَانِهِ. Then on his tongue was cast down تِلْكَ الْغَرَانِيقَ الْعُلَى الشَّفَاعَ مِنْهُمْ تُرْتَجَى. The satanic verses. This part here are the satanic verses. Do you see it? And this hadith is sahih. Oh boy. And then we continue. You see that the mushrikun, Ahlul Mecca, the mushrikeen of Mecca, the pagans, the tribe of Muhammad, they were really happy with this. And they started to push Muhammad. And it became really heavy on Muhammad. Muhammad not realizing that he just delivered satanic verses. And we see it in Allah, when Muhammad is in Medina, he starts to abrogate the satanic verses. Because chapter 22 of the Quran is a Medina chapter. After 8 years, Allah decides to abrogate the satanic verses in Surah An-Najm. This is a weak hadith, really? Are you blind or what? وَرِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالُ الصَّحِيحِ. Are you blind or what, Ya Muhammad? You see, the Muslim scholars are a bunch of liars. Because clearly it's very sahih. The satanic verses are very sahih. And it's in front of you. Look, again, this is the book of Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, Al-Dhurr al-Manthur. Sahih. And another hadith is trustworthy. All the men in the chain are trustworthy. Rijal, right? بإسناد رجاله ثقات, trustworthy. And the isnad of another hadith is sahih. بإسناد صحيح. Even the footer, وَرِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالَ الصَّحِيحِ. There you see it? Let me make it bigger. رِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالَ الصَّحِيحِ. And we find this also in مجمع الزوائد, as we showed you. مجمع الزوائد, مجمع الزوائد. مجمع الزوائد ومنبع الفوائد. Here is my translation, guys. مجمع الزوائد ومنبع الفوائد. Volume 7, page 115. Take a screenshot. By Imam Al-Hafiz Al-Haythami, a giant in Islam. And Allah the Most High said, have you seen Allat wal-Uzza? From Ibn Abbas, even Ibn Abbas in the chain, Sahih chain. The cousin of Muhammad, Hibr al-Ummah, the ink of the Ummah. That Ibn Abbas, the cousin of Muhammad, is in the chain. And they say, it's da'if, it's fabrication. Yeah, right. Who are you, Ya Muslimin, to lie? And in the chain, the Tabi'i, for example, Sa'id ibn Jubair, that the Messenger of Allah was in Mecca. He's the one who's reporting it. Then he started to read Surah An-Najm. So Muhammad starts to read Surah An-Najm till he reached chapter 53, ayahs 19 and 20. Have you seen Allat, Al-Uzza, Wal-Manat? The other one, the third Manat. And then on his tongue, Satan puts on the tongue of Muhammad, he reveals, these are the exalted cranes. تلك الغرانيق العلا, and their intercession is hoped for. وَإِنَّ شَفَاعَتُهُنَّ لَتُرْتَجَى. These words, guys, in green are the Satanic verses. Do you see it? He said, then the mushrikeen of Mecca, the Quraysh, heard this. They started to talk about it, and it became hard, very difficult on Muhammad. Then Allah, after 8 years in Medina, He sends down the abrogation, and all the noble messengers, all prophets whom we sent before you, Muhammad, it occurred with all of them that whenever they recited the message, let's say the Quran, Satan delivers the Satanic verses on their tongue. You see it? And this is reported from Al-Bazzar and Al-Tabarani also. The men in the chain are of the men of Al-Sahih. وَرِجَالَهُمَّ رِجَالَ الصَّحِيحِ. Sahih. They go to other hadiths that are mursal hadith, and they say, brother, this hadith is da'if. So what do they do, guys? What do Muslims do? What do the Shaykh do? They go to a hadith like this one on page 527 of Dhurr al-Manthur by Jalalain. They go to this one. Look, guys. Do you see this one that is basically have a red line around it? You see it, guys? This one is Mursal Sahih al-Isnad. If you claim to be a seeker of truth, your scholars go to a different hadith that is a Mursal Sahih Isnad, right? That has a gap. There is a gap inside the chain. A tabi'i, a successor of the Sahaba in the chain, he is skipping one of the Sahaba. So they say, we don't take it. It's fabrication, brother. It's Mursal. It's Mursal. We don't accept it. You see? Mursal Sahih al-Isnad. So they mention other ahadith like this one that have different people in the chain. Look, we have here people like Abd bin Humayd wa Ibn Jarir min Tariq Yunus an Abi Shuhaib. So totally different people in the chain. So totally different hadith. And they say, you see, the Satanic verses are fabricated. But Abdul, you are talking, the scholars of Islam today who are embarrassed, the scholars of Islam today, this is a different hadith. This is a different chain, not the one that we are showing here on the screen. Look, this one contains Ibn Jarir, Ibn al-Mundhir, and Ibn Hatham, and so on and so on. From Sa'id ibn Jubair. But the one here is totally different chain, as we explained to you. This is Abdu bin Humayd, wa Ibn Jarir, and min Tariq Yunus. Yunus is in the chain. And an Ibn from Ibn Shuhaib. Totally different chain. Look. Totally different chain. This one has Ibn Abbas in it. You see it? Where is Ibn Abbas in this chain that is supposedly Mursal? Nowhere is Ibn Abbas. You see it? We don't see Ibn Abbas in it. Do you see now, guys, what they do? Do you see what scholars of Islam do? They go to the weak ones and they say, look. The Satanic verses is fabrication. Oh, you idiots. Oh, you are lying to your Muslim audience who don't do their homework, who do not know Arabic, and you take other weak Mursal hadith and you say the Satanic verses is fabricated. Those games are not working on us Arabic-speaking Christians, because we can show you the correct chains, different hadiths that are Sahih. Right? The men in the chain here in this hadith are the men of a Sahih. You see it? Here another one. The Sahih Isnad. The chain is Sahih. Different chain, different people who are reporting this Sahih hadith. Do you see how they trick? Do you see how they deceive the Muslims like Ahmadidad did in the 80s?